quite impressive. His force field game leaves almost everything untouched. It's ridiculous. It's quite lovely. It's blue and luxurious. Okay, so then there's Siso, who is the king of Egypt, Zero by day, and a superhero who can track anybody he's met in person by telepathy. The mental imprint that he can leave, he can see that person a million miles away, essentially on another planet. But that's how powerful he is, and he doesn't need Cerebro to do that. All right. So after Sasso, you have Voxius. Voxius is represented by Nicholas. I saw him on Scruff, quite the attraction. And he practices opera in real life, and he will be practicing opera in his story. All right, and he's a opera teacher as well. His superhero alter ego has a cape that has a personality as well, and that cape is often considered a super being by itself. It just happened to choose Voxius to stay with, and Voxius is considered two people in one because of the cape and how powerful he is. Sound superpowers can do a whole lot. You can literally obliterate somebody with sound superpowers. But let's go ahead and get on with the rest of the list, all right? And then you have the worst. Oh boy, the worst is represented by Tamurti. He's a college professor by day and an archaeologist. He's quite an innocent looking man, but he's been voted the worst hero by the villains because of his superpower, which is gruntage. And gruntage is the control of bacteria and viruses. You heard me correctly, all right? You can control microscopic things if you have gruntage as a superpower, right? Like your throat can be scratchy in 1 second, come across a gruntage person, shit is gone, no recovery necessary whatsoever. And the worst thing about that, he has a doctorate in medicine, so even if he does cure it naturally, it's naturally by two definitions, by his superpower and by medicine. So and you know they do it right. The worst, they call him it. And then you have Millions, represented by Jonathan. He's a tennis megastore by day and the Million Man superhero by night. Gemini is a superpower. You can make perfect clones and whatnot. But unlike Alicia Whitley from the Inhumans, when he make up his clones, he sets the life toll that they have, so they can either be there as in a means of a strategy during a fight, or he can have them take care of business on another planet nearby, across a giant space station, just in several different places at once. And regardless of this universe having it black matter cloning thing that you can shoot somebody across the universe, his ability to retain memories with his clones is quite unfathomable. It requires a whole lot of training, but you know, being in the Charleston area, that comes natural. So Captain Phase is represented by Oscar, and he's a leader of the Haddadian Order, and the Haddadian Order is complete superheroes. There's a whole group of superheroes, and he's the leader of them. And Captain Phase is called Captain Phase for a reason, right? He be laying niggas out. Out of all of the people on the Crimson Collective, he has the most knockout game, alright? And you can see it on the side if you read correctly. And it's quite beautiful because, oh my gosh. He would literally go on the battlefield and be like, niggas are catching fades today, alright? He will say that it's not a threat, it's a promise, alright? Then you have 7 represented by Cleon, the Grandmaster level blacksmith from Edgemere. He's made so many legendary weapons throughout his lifetime. I think he will probably be one of the oldest characters because he's a god and they have immortality in Edgemere. No population issues, but most of the characters in the story have weapons that he made eons ago. Then you have Luna Aegis represented by Shane. He's a leader of the Ebony High Tides, which is this group of space voyagers, and they do things off book that the Galactic Space Force can't do. And regardless of there being a Galactic Space Force, nobody in the ranks is on the Crimson Collective. But all of them know somebody who's another character in the story. But Luna Aegis is usually everybody's point man when it comes to getting the information to the Galactic Space Force. And Luna Aegis is highly reliable with any kind of firearm. Then you have Proof, represented by my buddy Mazzoni. He is an Arrow Ordnance, which is basically the superpower police. In my stories, Arrowology is the study of superpowers, and the Arrowologist is a doctor of superpowers. Arrow is the word superpower, in a sense. And Proof, that's basically his MOS, his job when it comes to being a superhero, is making sure people not over abusing their superpowers. So he be all up in Edgemere doing shit. He be all up in the real world doing shit over all of the galaxies. He is not a joke. They call him Proof for a reason. Now, he may be fireproof, but he's also so many other proofs that I can't get into right now because this is going to be a long ass video. So he's also a king god. And moving right along to Chromatic, who's a traveling warlock and apocalypse hunter, represented by my buddy Reg. He's wildly impressive when it comes to spellbinding, and he's more of trying to outdo apocalypses. And regardless of there being another character named Apocalypse, his spells are always revolved around stopping apocalypses. So Chromatic is a gun-toting killer who rarely misses his target and always keeps the planets intact, even though he has a spell that can rip a whole planet in half, as well as rip a whole dimension in half. So right, these characters are too powerful for their own good. I get it. Okay, so you have Romantos, who is this who is represented by my buddy Gavon over in France. And Romantos is an intergalactic diplomat. So he's a lawyer slash cop slash diplomat who makes sure that everything is peaceful when it comes to intergalactic orders and dilemmas. He is quite reliable. But his superhero form, quite ridiculous, alright. He is always making situations where it be a battlefield, but it's also a great place to propose, alright. So you had this stupid ass hero named Romantos, and I named him that purposely so he can be romantic. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. And then you have Splashworth, portrayed by my buddy Reese, and Reese with his lovely self. Reese is so lovely and ridiculous. He's a professional model by day. He's also a king guide, and he's probably the most reliable guide of them all. But he's also a traveling bard as a superhero, and he fights with a spirit guitar that's quite awesome. Doesn't have a personality, it just has a lot of power, unlike the other spirit weapons in the game. And Splashworth is rich. His family is probably the richest family in the universes, in the galaxies, and in Edgemere, because when they first broke out of the fantasy world and they went to the real world, they started just making money in all of the countries on Earth Zero, and it just kept growing when they discovered new galaxies over the years. And it just, he will buy a villain's plan and make sure it never sees the light of day. It's ridiculous. And then you have Maverick, portrayed by Francisco. He's a travel blogger by day, and a very explosive superhero by night. His evaporation and teleporting game is so supreme. It sometimes make portal wielders insignificant, because even though he can explode into absolutely nothing and you can't sense him on a radar except for the energy that he combusted into, he can appear anywhere where there's open space. So he could be on the side of this wall, then be on the other side, just like that. It's quite disgusting. He also can make earthquakes, create tornadoes, blow up entire spaceships, create craters and things. It's just a highly explosive superpower. Nuclear level as well. And then you have Zermuda, portrayed by Darius, who's a prince of planet Femtron. He fights with his hair, and he has a whole android army. It's ridiculous. And he's highly reliable because like a handful of the characters, they some of them come with a whole army, so you have backup and shit. But Zermuda is like the Bermuda Triangle. It just, you will get lost in his head. It's like he can literally turn into an anaconda at any given moment, retain his human form, but the hair everywhere. You're gone. You're drowned in follicles. It's over. You ain't getting out. You ain't seeing nothing but blackness, alright? And then you had a Rage, portrayed by Chris, who's a spaceship designer, but it can also rip spaceships in half. The Rage is the most destructive character on the Crimson Collective. Tightness as a superpower gives you strength that cannot be rendered obsolete unless somebody else is a tightness wielder. So say that you have tightness as a superpower and you get into an arm wrestling contest. Snap, that bone is gone. Whoever is trying to arm wrestle somebody with tightness as a superpower would know superpower ordinances that render all of them obsolete whenever you're close to the apparatus or something. Arm gone. That bone is like, it's gonna be smooth when it snaps. That's how dangerous a tightness person is, alright? They can take a dime and split it in half perfectly. That's how powerful tightness wielders are. And all it takes is just the thought of doing something destructive, and a Rage will do it. But he's a good guy, so you don't have to worry about it. And then you have Omniverse, represented by Glover. He's a human transporter for Purge, and Purge is this organization that acts like the people that clean up the supernatural situations and make sure too much information doesn't hit public so people don't go all haywire and shit. but he transports mostly kids around all of the galaxies and whatnot, like when they go to summer camps, when they go on trips, transporting all of the kids, and it doesn't matter how important they are, he would transport them, get them from point A to Z in perfect conditions safely, and make sure they have all of their vaccines and things like that. He is highly responsible and trustworthy, and they call him omniverse because he can teleport up to he can actually teleport from, if he really wanted to, he can teleport from galaxy to galaxy in a matter of minutes. The only thing he needs is the longitude and latitude of the galaxy. A safe room he can teleport into that has a certain amount of feet range in it, so he can get into the center as much as possible, and he'll be there, which is why he's on the first line, right in the middle. And then you have Crisis, represented by Vernon. He's the lead general for Purge. He is the commander-in-chief. He makes all of the decisions when it comes to cleaning up the supernatural and dealing with supernatural findings and whatnot. He's the liaison for the fantasy realm at Gemini as well. A highly important individual, very trustworthy, and guaranteed to get your ass if you do something wrong. Boston, represented by Ryan, a secret operative for the Allcroft organization, which is the organization that was trying to take care of his life when he got caught up in some symbiote situation in outer space that took over his body, made him extremely sick, and they couldn't figure out how to cure him. Then he died, came back to life, a whole new super being that can assume the capacity of anything it wants to. So it's like Venom, but without all of the evilness and the horrible voice. So Boston essentially became a boss after he died, and then he started taking care of all of the Allcroft organization's doings across all of the galaxies. And then you have last and definitely least, Crunch, which is represented by me. Yes, we out there crunching on them hoes, alright? He is the leader of the Wishanugga Wood Pirateers, alright? And he's an archaeologist. He got a symbiotic pair too, but this symbiotic used to be a human. And symbiotic may not be a word, so I'm going to say symbiote. And the symbiote used to be a human whose superpower was also ice. And he took his powers too far, took the experiments too far, and became essentially a liquid orb. And he was in his desolate ice place, just eating up the ice travelers and shit like that at the North Pole on the planet. And he was just in a cave minding his own business. Then Crunch came in there minding his own business. Then they started talking, and then he was like, "Oh, your ice powers seem like they're on the same level as mine." And then they became friends and they became partners, and now Connor won't leave Crunch alone, and Crunch won't leave Connor alone. And now he has this big ass mouth that can come out of nowhere, eat a whole person, 7 foot tall person, in a second. Symbiote will crunch somebody in a second. Gone. Very little blood spatter. Crunch. Maybe I should call him Captain Crunch. Okay, I'm gonna stop. So I'm done with the Crimson Collector for now. I'm not gonna talk about the other characters because it's 47 in the image already. And I was creating, I was gone, but I was on up, I was making up stuff. And I think it's a beautiful story, and all of this intellectual property is mine and mine only. Better not see it anywhere else. And I would love to make this into an animated series. There is so much chaos to make with these aliens that come to this sector of the universe and try to devour everything man has made. And the thing behind it is they appear to be these all black, horribly mutated Vara from Fantasy Star Universe. And like 1 second they'll look like a normal person, then next thing you know you have these horns coming out of places as if they are demons and shit. And they don't have them turn up like horns. They have these fucking teeth that come out of nowhere. And then you be like, oh my gosh, it's 6 of them. What am I gonna do? You ain't gonna do shit. You gonna get taken over, alright? Because essentially they are humanoid, but they are also symbiotes that can liquefy and take over any kind of living life form. So you have those aliens that can do that, and then they just want to eat everything. And the reason why they go across all of the universes eating everything is because they're trying to figure out a way to stop the pain. So what they are going through can't be understood because they were essentially made up by another intelligent life form. And they were experiments that were not completed because they couldn't be controlled. Then they took over the planet, and then they started like venturing out into the universe trying to find ways to stop the pain. And they are in constant pain all the time, aggressive all the time. And they get there at the northern outpost where Arcarios is, and also Sir Sworn. And we got the sister ship and a brother ship, and they come up and they see them, all these alerts go off, and then the ship just stop, and then you have them sitting there for a while, and the humans trying to get contact with the aliens and stuff like that, and then nobody can see it coming. They just start infiltrating our defenses and finding ways to get on planets, getting into the center of solar systems somehow without being detected. And the ships are the ships are highly beautiful and also cannot be detected by our radars until the Crimson Collective gives us the technology to figure out some things about them, because the Crimson Collective doesn't want to die either, and it will do what it has to do to keep those aliens from devouring all 13 galaxies. And I'm not going to tell you the secret about that. So until the next video, everybody have a good one. Mwah.